Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Sorry for the earlier confusion of the video with no sound. Just before I start this one, I just want to make mention of the fact that the video I had done on this exact same topic, which I'm going to be reviewing, by the end of the video, or the end of the reading, he had the devil, death, the tower, and judgment. So clearly, June has been a little bit of a month, right? A lot of us said June looked really dicey. It wasn't good for him. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but it wasn't good. And goodness gracious, we're only like just a bit over halfway through the month. And he has had an absolutely disastrous month of June. And of course, that just only, amplifies sort of what's been going on for the last 3 to 5 years, kind of depending on your time frames. Okay, so CNN yesterday did this really lovely article for me, and I'm just going to read off. They're talking about the things that have happened to Donald Trump so far this year that have not worked very well for him. So the Supreme Court handed down stunning rebukes last week, one in the gay, lesbian, transgender rights in the workplace. That went against what he had hoped. The DACA program, he didn't get away with that. Senate Republicans are increasingly sort of pulling away from him a little bit. There was a press conference the other day with Mitch McConnell and, the senators hanging around behind him trying to look important and accomplished. They were all wearing masks. So that is an absolutely direct opposition to, what Trump feels about the pandemic and how, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got that going on. There is the problem. Oh, and Chuck Grassley apparently announced that he was going to be introducing legislation to protect inspector generals because, of course, he keeps firing them. So Grassley is still trying to get answers from the White House on 2 of the firings from last month. So he's fed up, and so now he's implementing or trying to put forward this legislation. Trump said everything would vanish and go away like a miracle when the daffodils showed up. Okay, yeah, well, so now half of the state are currently increasing a surge in COVID cases because it did not disappear. And all of the things that were put in place to try to prevent the spread or minimize it, were ignored and not done well or not done properly. So the numbers are increasing. I mean, he's going to Oklahoma tomorrow, and Oklahoma's in a mess. Like they're being overrun with cases. Texas and Florida and Arizona, same problems. Like, really, it's not a good situation, and more people are sort of twigging into the fact that it's not a good situation. And then, of course, there was the date change for the rally in Tulsa because originally he had it set for today, the 19th, which is the Juneteenth. And so I'm not quite sure if I'm supposed to wish you a happy one or a good one, but the day is in place. It is clearly an important date, and important, and not just for the Black community, but for everybody. So he had to change the date because he got a whole bunch of pushback on that. And then, of course, the completely tone-deaf response to the George Floyd situation. The photo op of him holding a Bible upside down. And James Mattis came out with the whole, this is a president who does not even pretend to try. Instead, he just wants to divide. John Bolton is out with his book. So he has said that, he thinks that Trump is unfit and that he shouldn't be president, and that Trump also was sort of strong-arming and on one hand and demanding favors on the other hand from China, because he wanted China to help get him reelected. So this blatant kind of, you do this for me, you help get me elected and you will get this and this and this, right? Including altering court cases, trying to get stuff dropped against, people that perhaps China would be interested in not having go through the American court system. His approval rating has collapsed. As of last night, I think it was like 39% approval, so that's doing a little bit of a dive. And so remember a couple of days ago, CNN posted a poll that said Biden was ahead of Trump, I think by 14 points. And he threatened to sue CNN because it was a lie and it was fake news and that wasn't accurate. So yesterday, Fox News came out with a poll that says Biden is ahead of Trump by 12%. Makes one wonder if he's going to try to sue Fox. So it's kind of been this is just 1 month. This is just 1 month. And of course, all this nonsense with Bolton and his book, and by the way, that thing is not going to do well. He really, on some level, is actually going to be punished for not sort of doing for the country what was the right thing to do, and instead trying to, turn that situation or that experience into a money-making scheme. It's becoming more and more apparent how incredibly unfit and reckless the president is. And so the more crazy stuff that Trump does, the more kind of crap falls onto Bolton's shoulders, because the question then becomes over and over again, what was so important that you chose not to testify in an impeachment hearing? No, the trial part of the Senate hearings. Because we could have taken him out then. But no, you wanted to be quiet. So he's not going to do well. He's not going to fare well with this. You get a lot of, when the announcements on television, when different hosts of their shows are talking, they usually, the sentence kind of goes something like this. According to John Bolton's book, which you should not purchase, ABC, right? So nobody is supporting this. It's not going to go well for him. So, okay, so the purpose of this reading was to figure out what the rest of June looks like for Trump. So we're at the 19th today, and I wanted to take this through to the end of the first week of July. So that will take us to just after Memorial Day. So let's have a little look-see at what the balance of July and the balance of June and the first week of July looks like in Trump world. So come on down, because I have a question. By the way, thank you so very much. I have lots of new subscribers here, and I'm so grateful for you. Welcome to Soulprint. And of course, always the views, the thumbs up, the comments are wonderful, and I thank you for that also. Not to mention the amazing, generous donations that I have been receiving. That's like always humbles me, and it's amazing. So thank you for that also. All right. Trump, balance of June into July. Trump, June, July, Trump, June, July, Trump, June, July. Let's just see what we see here. And of course, I have my smoky quartz crystal. Oh, speaking of which, on the Insights channel, hopefully, if everything goes well next week, there's going to be a video released sort of on, top 10 crystals that you might want to consider having in your life. So if any of you are interested in that, hop over to the Insights channel, and hopefully that will be getting released sooner rather than later. Okay. So here we go. There we go. All right. So he's starting off with the Five of Pentacles. So, you know, this is the thing, right? He's finding himself more and more basically out in the cold. People are not responding well to his behavior. The more extreme his behavior becomes, the more people are starting to pull away from him. And this is the thing to remember. His basis is base, and that's not likely to change. But pretty much anybody else who voted for him just because they didn't like Hillary or whatever their story was, have switched allegiance. So you have more and more people who really, really, really do disapprove of Trump and how he's behaving. And he's starting to actually feel the impact and the effects of that. And so that frustrates him, that gets him, you know, angry and agitated. And of course, let's face facts. The whole situation in Tulsa is only because he's had such a bad run of luck lately that they wanted to do something to get him in front of a crowd so they could cheer and throw adulation at him so that he would calm down, because he's had nothing but bad news for, well, okay, certainly for since the middle of February with the whole pandemic. Oh, and that, of course, is the other thing that he was a disaster at and continues to be. So he's losing people by the droves, whether, you know, you kind of see it or not or feel it. It's definitely happening. And so they throw this convention together in Tulsa because he needs to be affirmed that he's amazing. And the only way to do that is to hold a rally. And of course, the numbers, frankly, are kind of exaggerated, I think, about the number of people who are actually going to flood the city to come to this thing. And the venue really has no way of protecting anybody except with masks and hand sanitizer. And of course, those people in the audience who are Trump loyalists are not going to wear masks, because that, of course, is counter to the story that's out there. Despite the fact that local newspapers are splashing headlines about the really sharp increase in COVID cases. So this is where he's sitting right now. He just feels out of the loop. He feels misunderstood. He feels like he's been pushed out into the cold. And frankly, a lot of that is actually coming behind the scenes quietly from the Republican Party, who are gently pushing back against him and saying, yeah, you know what, really? Enough. You're now impacting and influencing our ability to get reelected, and we're not liking that. As if the Lindsey Grahams and the Mitch McConnells are innocent, and, you know, it's only Trump that has caused their constituents to say enough is enough, which of course is absolutely bogus. So there's that. You've got shady dealings. You've got stuff going on in the background. It's not going to minimize. It's going to increase, okay? Because you simply have too many secrets that are going to continue to come out. And the information inside of Bolton's book is, of course, going to be discussed on television, in the news media, etc., because they all got advanced copies. So they have it available. They can read it, and they're going to continue to discuss it. I just don't think that they're going to be really active promoting the actual sale of the book. But there's more secrets that are coming out and have already started to come out with regards to those dealings. And so that is just going to be another, stab in his back, frankly. And not to mention, of course, all of the news about Mary Trump, the niece, who is releasing that sort of tell-all book. And good for her. His behavior is going to become more erratic. You're going to see an increase in whatever it is he uses to keep him revved up and pushing forward. So that's going to increase. And of course, the more that happens, then you have the behavior becomes more erratic, the statements become more insane. So that's a problem. That's a problem. And meanwhile, he continues to sort of reach out to foreign actors because now he's really desperate for that kind of support. But unfortunately, there's going to be more news coming out about that and about that behavior. And I don't think that also is going to sit particularly well with him. So you've got a lot of sort of toxic and angry and scattered emotion going on. And it really does look like that energy is going to carry through the end of the first week of July. You're going to see statements coming out of his mouth that are just beyond insane. He really, the only thing he has left, because of course the economy is tanked, is disregarding the law. I mean, that really is what he has been reduced to. He has been reduced to complete lawlessness at every turn. If it's not his own party, it's the generals, it's the courts, etc. It's the Biden campaign, it's the Lincoln Project. Everybody is sort of really closely monitoring the behavior that he is exhibiting, specifically with regards to when he just turns away from the law and says, I don't need to because I'm the president. It's not working for him. It's not going to go over well. Meanwhile, his campaign, his re-election campaign, is crazy, crazy busy trying to slow the avalanche of bad news, spin it, do whatever they can. They have a huge, huge amount of work ahead of them. And honestly, I don't even think that they're trying to work to get him reelected as much, honestly, at this point, and certainly for the next couple of weeks. They're going to just be working really, really super hard at trying to minimize the fallout. So there's that going on. Yeah. Oops, here comes judgment. So as more and more people criticize and judge and pass judgment, the crazier it becomes and the more antagonistic he becomes. So you have that going on. And this is not going to slow down. This is going to continue to sort of ramp up. So there's that. He is receiving harsh criticism, honestly, almost across the board, because the more bizarre his behavior comes, even those who try to support him are running out of ways to spin this. I mean, for the love of all that is holy, how it is that Trump is trying to spin this Juneteenth situation by saying, well, I made it famous. Nobody knew about it. Okay, well, in part, you kind of have to give him a small point for that because he really did make it famous. Unfortunately, along with making it famous, he also brought more attention to his own incompetent, uninformed, and unwilling to learn self. So, not going to work out so well for him, I do believe. Lots of spin coming, lots of trying to, they're going to have clips from that rally in Tulsa, flashing all over the place because, it's all new sound bites and it's new crowds roaring their approval. So, they're going to be trying to turn that into like more commercials. There's going to be a lot of spin coming out of that thing. And I have to tell you, I am not at all convinced that rally in Tulsa is going to be everything that he hopes and wants it to be. I'm not sure what is going to shift. I don't know if he really is going to get smaller than normal crowds. I'm I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen there. Oh, and by the way, he tweeted, apparently, I think it was this morning, that anybody who protests or disagrees or whatever, well, I can't remember now what he called them, but it was along the lines of, scum of the earth. And so really he's putting out a message out there that honestly says, unless you love me, you're crap. And again, that's not very politically correct. That's not very diplomatic. And frankly, it is another example of him, shooting his own self in the foot. So there's that. Trump is really starting to recognize that his dream of this re-election is starting to become minimalized, and it's not looking quite as good as he thought it was looking. And there's going to be more issues with communication. So Twitter and Facebook have both pushed back against recent, advertisements. Basically because what they're flagging him on is hate language. So that's going to continue. He's going to continue to get slapped back again because the pattern is so predictable, right? As soon as he loses momentum, he becomes outrageous. The more outrageous he becomes, the crazier stuff comes out of his mouth, out of the administration, out of the re-election campaign. And then people are they push back. They say, like, that's a blatant lie, or that's absolutely false, or whatever they say. And so that dynamic is going to continue for the next several weeks. In fact, I would say probably right through the summer, because he's just in that place where he is so busy scrambling to find the right message and he cannot find the message. So this is the thing that's really cool actually about this re-election situation, is that he is totally in the defensive position. Whether it is Facebook and Twitter coming after him, whether it is Nancy Pelosi, whether it is other Democrats, the Lincoln Project, Republicans, he is continually in a defensive posture. He is continually having to try to justify or explain what he said or did. And it's not being well received. Whatever crap comes out of their mouths trying to explain it is not being well received. I mean, that little interview that Pence did the other day about, the president only wants the people of Tulsa to be able to practice the right of free speech and right to assembly. Come on, are you kidding me? And this, of course, was the guy who was originally put in charge of the Corona Task Force. So it's not like he does not have the correct information at his disposal. But, it's not what Trump believes is correct. And so therefore, he just falls into line. In a lot of ways, it is as if he has put the campaign to reelect him, and honestly, people all around him in his administration, etc., in a place where they're trying to make decisions blindfolded, okay? Because he's become so unpredictable, so erratic, so temperamental, that they're trying to fix stuff without any clarity about what that should look like, because he persists in blowing everything up. So it's becoming more and more difficult for those who are trying to protect him, promote him, etc., to actually do that, because he won't even play nice with his own people. He won't even play nice with his re-election campaign. He is that child who, when you say no to him, throws a temper tantrum. Okay, and so they're coming up with bogus polls and ridiculous other things because they're trying to distract Trump from all of the bad news. And there has been a considerable amount of it. All right. So you can anticipate in the next 3 weeks or so that Joe Biden is going to continue to surge in the polls. He's going to continue to get some really good donations. And again, Trump finds himself in a position of defense. He can't literally sit up without attacking or stabbing himself. So you're going to almost see a little bit of a retreat, which is unusual, right? Because he's always out there. But I think that he's just going to get to a place where he's got no answers. And so you're actually going to see him kind of running away a little bit from the press, or doing a lot of yakking when he's in an environment where people really can't question him. So that's the only way he can really get his racist and sexist and homophobic message out. So whatever is coming from the Biden camp is also going to put a bit of a hitch in his get along. He's run out of tricks, people. He really, really has run out of them, right? I mean, he always was a one-trick pony, and even the things that worked before are not working so well this time. The last handful of months before that, he was ignorant, he was stupid, he couldn't manage stuff. You know, he had all of these sort of personality quirks that most people didn't think were positive. But since the pandemic started, his complete incompetence and his cruelty has really, really taken center stage. And that is not going to be something that you can just spin away, or that you can, pull a rabbit out of a hat and kind of make it all better. It's not going to happen. So ultimately, there's a tremendous amount of heartbreak and disappointment coming to him. And I honestly think it has already started. It started at the beginning of June. It went on before that. But for some reason, I just have a feeling that this Tulsa situation is not going to go well. And I don't know why. Okay, I don't know. I'm not getting any clarity. So it's not, it could be riots. It could be disruptions in the rally. I don't know. But it just really, really strongly feels that this thing is just not going to work out very well for him. And even if initially it looks good, trust me, in very quick order, the really bad stuff, if you will, is going to come out. So, and he's kind of taken down, right? I mean, he's getting stabbed in the back, left, right, and center. And at some point, he's going to get stabbed to the point where it's almost not recoverable. Now, I think that's already happened. And now this is just that downward slide. But, it's like I've said 100 times, right? This presidency is like, or what is going on with him is really like a slow-moving tower, or death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's just an accumulation of stuff that is just not working for him, stuff that he has really, blown. More information about partnerships. It's going to be interesting, with that book coming out. I mean, that's a little ways down the road still, but you've got the Bolton book talking about partnerships or contracts or strategies that he was using with other countries to try to put him ahead of the game. And he was offering them, honestly, whatever they wanted, whatever he could come up with, because he really, really wanted to have them in his pocket, because he is too foolish to understand that they play him like a puppet. So he thinks these relationships with foreign actors is a wonderful thing, and they're all going to help him because they adore him. Not true. Okay. And again, there's just a lot of information coming out that really, really, really does not look very good. Okay. So his emotions are literally going to be out of control, okay? He might have a couple of good days, post the rally, but honestly, he is becoming more erratic, more emotionally out of control, and the government is finding it harder and harder to stand by him. Now, they're doing it very subtly, like things with the mask or Grassley saying, well, I'm going to introduce legislation. So you're going to just see more of that. A lot of these people have figured out that he is going to literally be the doom of their own political careers. So that's going on. Yeah, and information is going to come out about, I almost want to say past communications or past dealings that, again, is not going to look very good on him. There's going to be a lot more understanding or clarity about the fact that his focus is so much on money and security and possessions that the list of quid pro quo behavior is so much more outrageous than any of us can even fathom. Okay, so, here we have it, right? He's trying to juggle, and he's not going to do a very good job juggling, and nor is he going to do a good job distracting, and nor are the people around him actually going to be able to be very, very helpful to him. You are being reminded that nothing is guaranteed. And so that which you need to do to ensure that the election goes the way you want to go is really vital and really important. I also want to say that the Black Lives Matter movement is going to continue to build momentum. That is not something that is going away. I mean, I think we're already in week 3, or 2 3/4. So that's going to also push against him. So it is really about keeping yourself engaged in what's going on without letting it kind of make you crazy, and doing the work that needs to be done. And everybody has something they can do. Maybe it's they can just send energy work to the outcome you want, or maybe you might be protesting, or maybe you might offer to help out in a re-election office. Okay, but everybody's kind of going to pull their weight and do their part. And some of this stuff, as it collapses on him, is going to happen fairly, fairly quickly. One more quick thing before I wrap this up. So, understand, the crazier he becomes, the better an opportunity it is for a lot of misinformation to hit media, Facebook, Twitter, whoever else. The push for Trump is going to continue to escalate. And so be very, very careful of the information you are absorbing, what you are sort of taking as truth. Double check and triple check. And anybody who is writing articles that are really, really not even necessarily negative about Trump's behavior, but what a disaster the coronavirus is, and people are dying and there's not a way to recover, or the economy is going to tank and that's going to be just worse than the Great Depression. Take a breath, okay? Because that kind of information, what it does is it angers you, it hurts you, but ultimately it makes you feel defeated. What happens when you feel defeated? You become disengaged and you sort of lose almost like the will to push forward for change. That's exactly what they're trying to tap into. So be mindful of that. Oh, look, here's the Wheel of Fortune coming out next. And the High Priestess on the bottom of the deck. So that in and of itself is interesting, right? Because, okay, so Wheel of Fortune, it's not a good thing for him. And the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck is, of course, talking about secrets, inner knowledge, inner understanding. That's going to be coming out. And probably not by Trump, but by those around him. Okay, so secrets continue to be revealed. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Thank you ever so much for joining me. Thank you for all of the support. It is amazing, and I'm so grateful for it. If you are interested in a private reading, I'm actually booking fairly early in July right now. So the information is in the description box below if that's something you're interested in. Until next time, take care. Be well. Bye.